What if the timeline of the end times wasn't some unsolvable mystery? What if the clues were hidden in plain sight, tucked away in ancient prophecies that many believe are now being unlocked? For centuries, the books of Daniel and Revelation have described a final global power and a deceptive world leader. Now, some of the most shocking interpretations connecting the Antichrist and the beast are coming into focus, and the picture they paint is more stunning than you might imagine. Could we be living in the last days without even realizing it? For thousands of years, parts of Daniel's prophecies were considered sealed, their deepest meanings reserved for a future generation. The Apostle John, exiled on the Isle of Patmos, recorded visions so intense they've puzzled scholars for millennia. Today, we're standing at a unique point in history. Modern technology, global politics, and a growing spirit of lawlessness all seem to be converging in a way that aligns with these ancient warnings with breathtaking precision. We're going to journey back to the heart of ancient Babylon and the shores of Patmos to uncover what many believe is a divine blueprint. We'll decode the symbols, lay out the timeline, and explore the identities of two of the most feared figures in Scripture, the Antichrist and the Beast. This isn't just random guesswork, it's a puzzle being pieced together, and the final image many see forming is one of global deception, ultimate conflict, and a final divine intervention. The seals may just be breaking.
To understand the end, we have to go back to the beginning. Not Genesis, but a time of incredible turmoil in the heart of the Babylonian Empire. This is where we meet Daniel, a young captive living in a world hostile to his faith. Surrounded by paganism, Daniel remained devoted to God. Because of this, many believe God entrusted him with visions that would chart the course of human history right up to the end of the age. These weren't vague, mystical fortunes. They were detailed prophecies that, according to one major interpretation, laid out the rise and fall of the great empires that would dominate the world. God gave Daniel the framework, the prophetic backbone for everything else to come. Centuries later, the Apostle John, the last living disciple of Jesus, received his own visions on the island of Patmos. These visions, found in the book of Revelation, don't stand alone. They build on Daniel's foundation, adding flesh and blood to his prophetic skeleton. The two books are so connected, you really can't understand one without the other. Daniel's prophecies came from inside a hostile kingdom, a testament to God's authority over human empires. John's visions came during intense persecution, a message of hope that God is in control, no matter how dark the world gets. Daniel tells of 4 great kingdoms, followed by a final, terrifying global government. Revelation then describes that final government in horrifying detail, revealing its leader and the power behind its throne. The parallels are stunning. It's like a coded message, and for a long time, many of the keys were missing. But Daniel was told that the words were to be shut up and sealed until the time of the end, a time when knowledge shall be increased. Many today believe we are living in that time, that the knowledge of these prophecies is increasing at an unprecedented rate. As we unlock these ancient texts, we aren't just looking at history, we may be looking at our future.
The first key to this prophetic timeline is found in Daniel chapter 2. Babylon's king Nebuchadnezzar has a terrifying dream he can't even remember, and he threatens his sorcerers with death if they can't tell him both the dream and what it means. Of course, they can't, but Daniel, through God's power, can. Daniel reveals the dream was of a colossal statue. Its head was gold, its chest and arms were silver, its belly and thighs were bronze,
Its legs were iron, and its feet were a strange mixture of iron and clay. Then, a stone, cut without hands, smashes the statue on its feet, and the whole thing crumbles to dust. That stone then grows into a great mountain that fills the earth. This was more than a dream. It was a prophetic timeline. Daniel explained that the head of gold was Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, Babylon. After Babylon, a silver kingdom would arise, the Medo-Persian Empire, which conquered Babylon in 539 BC. Then, a bronze kingdom would rule, which history shows was the Greek Empire under Alexander the Great. Finally, a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, would crush the others. This was the Roman Empire, known for its iron-fisted military might. The accuracy of this historical succession is staggering, but the prophecy doesn't stop there. It moves to the feet and toes, a mixture of iron and clay. Many have interpreted this as representing a divided kingdom, a revived form of the old Roman Empire in the last days. This view suggests that the nations of modern Europe, which emerged from that fragmented empire, attempt to unify through treaties and alliances, to mix with the seed of man. But they never truly cohere, just as iron and clay don't mix. But there's more. In Daniel chapter 7, God gives Daniel a parallel vision of four great beasts: a lion for Babylon, a bear for Medo-Persia, a four-headed leopard for Greece, and a fourth, terrifying beast with iron teeth, representing Rome. The consistency between these two visions is seen by many as a divine fingerprint. And this is where the prophecy pivots to the future. Daniel pays special attention to the fourth beast, Rome, noticing it has 10 horns. In biblical prophecy, horns often symbolize rulers. Many scholars believe these 10 horns represent a future confederation of 10 rulers who will emerge from the territory of the old Roman Empire. This is the stage being set for the final act of human history, a revived Roman Empire that serves as the foundation for the Antichrist. The vision suggests this empire will exist right before the stone, cut without hands, representing Jesus Christ and his kingdom, shatters all human kingdoms and establishes a reign that never ends.
It wasn't just the 10 horns on the beast that caught Daniel's eye. It was something else, something far more sinister. As he watched, a little horn began to grow up among the 10. This wasn't just another king. This figure was different. Daniel describes this little horn with chilling detail. As it rises, it uproots 3 of the original 10 horns, suggesting a violent power struggle to consolidate control. But this leader's ambition isn't just political. Daniel says this horn had eyes like the eyes of a man and a mouth speaking great things, pompous words against the Most High God. This is a blasphemer who sets himself directly against God. The prophet explains that this little horn will persecute God's people and will intend to change times and laws. He will wage war against the saints and overcome them for a period described as a time and times and half a time. This prophetic phrase is widely interpreted by scholars to mean 3.5 years, a period where this figure will have unparalleled authority to persecute believers. Many theologians identify this figure as the Antichrist. He is both an opponent of Christ and a counterfeit. He is called the Prince who is to come in Daniel 9, the one who will make a 7-year treaty with Israel. But halfway through, after 3.5 years, he'll break that treaty, bringing an end to sacrifice and offering, a great betrayal that kicks off the most intense period of suffering the world has ever known. So, who is this person? Daniel says he comes from the people who destroyed Jerusalem and the temple in 70 AD, pointing many interpreters
to a Roman lineage. He is expected to be a charismatic political and military genius who rises to power through clever intrigue and promises of peace. The world, desperate for a savior, will embrace him. This interpretation suggests he will unite the world under a single government, economy, and ultimately a single religion. He is the 11th horn who takes over the 10-horned confederacy, the culmination of all godless power embodied in one final, satanically empowered man.
Centuries after Daniel, the Apostle John picks up the prophetic story. What Daniel saw in shadows, John sees in high definition. If Daniel gave us the blueprint for the Antichrist's rise, Revelation gives us the picture of his reign. In Revelation 13, John sees a beast rising from the sea with 7 heads and 10 horns, an immediate link to Daniel's 4th beast. But this beast is a terrifying mashup of all the previous empires. It's like a leopard, Greece, with feet like a bear, Medo-Persia, and a mouth like a lion, Babylon. This symbolism suggests that this final world empire and its leader will embody the worst traits of all the brutal empires that came before. John then reveals the power source. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. The dragon is identified in Revelation 12 as Satan. In this view, this isn't just a human political system, it's a satanically powered global government. Within this prophetic framework, Daniel's little horn and Revelation's beast from the sea are seen as the same person, the Antichrist. His authority becomes absolute, ruling over every tribe and nation. The world, mesmerized by his power, and likely by a seemingly miraculous recovery from a fatal head wound, will worship him, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who can wage war against him?" To enforce this worship, a second beast appears, the false prophet, who directs everyone to worship the first beast. He even gives power to an image of the beast that can speak and have those who refuse to worship it killed. Could this point to some advanced AI or holographic technology we can only now begin to imagine? This system of control is enforced through the economy. The false prophet causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, so that no one can buy or sell except one who has the mark. For centuries, this seemed like pure fantasy. Today, with the move toward a cashless society, centralized digital currencies, and biometric surveillance, many see the framework for such a system becoming plausible. While these technologies themselves are not the mark, they show how a global system of economic and religious control could potentially be implemented. It would be presented as a system of security and peace, but to take the mark would be to declare allegiance to the Antichrist.
There's a single event that is said to trigger the final, most intense period of global suffering. It's an act so profane it's called the abomination of desolation, and both Daniel and Jesus pointed to it as an unmistakable sign of the end. Daniel mentions that the prince who is to come, the Antichrist, will confirm a 7-year peace treaty with Israel. But halfway through that treaty, he will bring an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of abominations shall be one who makes desolate. History gives us a chilling preview of this. In 167 BC, a Greek ruler named Antiochus IV Epiphanes stormed the Jewish temple, stopped the sacrifices to God, built an altar to Zeus, and sacrificed a pig on it. This was a historical abomination of desolation. But many believe it was just a foreshadowing. When Jesus' disciples asked him for the sign of his return, he gave a direct warning in Matthew 24. So when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Jesus confirmed Daniel's prophecy, but pointed to a final future fulfillment. Here's the moment many scholars believe is coming. The Antichrist, having secured global power, will walk into a rebuilt Jewish temple in Jerusalem. For this interpretation to hold true, a third temple would need to exist there, While certain groups in Israel have made preparations and created ritual objects, there are no official government plans for construction on the highly contested Temple Mount. Still, in this scenario, the Antichrist enters the temple, breaks his treaty with Israel, and commits the ultimate blasphemy. He declares that he is God and demands the world worship him. This is the point of no return. It kicks off the final 3.5 years Jesus called the Great Tribulation, a time of trouble so severe that if those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. It's this ultimate act of pride that, in this view, unleashes God's judgment and sets the stage for the Battle of Armageddon and the return of Jesus Christ.
We're covering deep and complex prophecies, ideas that have been studied for generations. If you're finding this exploration helpful and want to keep digging into biblical prophecy, make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon. We're a community dedicated to understanding these topics for the times we're living in, and you won't want to miss what we look at next. We've traveled from the courts of Babylon to the island of Patmos. We've seen how one popular interpretation views Daniel's prophetic blueprint of 4 empires as the foundation for a final 10-nation confederacy. From it, a sinister figure, the little horn, arises. The same figure many believe John describes as the beast, the Antichrist. Empowered by Satan, he will supposedly rule a global government, enforce his will with a mark that controls all commerce, and commit the ultimate blasphemy in a future Jerusalem temple. Are these just ancient stories, or are they a roadmap? Many people today look at the world and see echoes of these warnings. The persistent call for a global leader to solve our crises, the rapid development of technology that could enable total economic control, and the endless focus on Jerusalem and the Temple Mount all seem to resonate with these ancient prophecies. This view suggests these prophecies weren't written to make us afraid, but to build our faith and give us a sense of urgency. They serve as a warning to the world and a promise to believers that history isn't random. It's heading toward a divinely planned conclusion. The darkness may grow and deception may deepen, but the final outcome is never in doubt. The stone cut without hands is believed to represent a coming kingdom that will crush the kingdoms of man and last forever. The most important question then is, are you ready for what may be coming?